I'm a 32-year-old single dad who built his entire life around not being noticed. No risks, no noise, just work routine and silence. Then one afternoon, I sent my boss 3 words meant for someone else. I want you. Before I could delete it, the message showed seen. 10 seconds later, I heard heel stop right behind me. Olivia Carter tapped her knuckle on my desk and said, "Ethan, my office." I was sure I was about to lose my job, but what happened next was something I never could have prepared for. Let me tell you something about the kind of man I was before that message. I was the guy who showed up at the office at exactly 8:45 every morning, sat at the same desk in the same corner of the engineering floor, and left at exactly 5:30. I wore the same rotation of button-downs. I ate lunch alone at my desk. I never joined the Friday happy hours, never lingered in the break room for small talk, and never once raised my voice in a meeting. At 32, I had turned invisibility into a lifestyle, and I was proud of it, the way only someone deeply afraid of being seen can be proud of disappearing. My name is Ethan Brooks. I'm a software engineer at a mid-sized tech company in Boston, the kind of company that makes enterprise tools nobody outside the industry has ever heard of. The work is stable, the pay is decent, and the culture is predictable. That's exactly why I chose it. After years of chaos in my personal life, a marriage that collapsed before it really began, a custody arrangement that left me doing everything alone, I didn't want excitement. I wanted structure. I wanted a place where nothing surprising ever happened. And for 3 years, that's exactly what I got. Until Olivia Carter. She was our VP of engineering, 39 years old, and the kind of leader who made you want to be better at your job without ever raising her voice. She didn't micromanage. She didn't need to. When Olivia walked into a room, the temperature changed. People sat up straighter. Conversations got sharper. She had this way of listening. Really listening, where she'd look at you with those dark brown eyes. And you'd feel like every word you said was being measured, weighed, and filed away for future reference. She was brilliant, decisive, and completely unreadable. In 3 years, I had never once seen her lose her composure. Not during layoffs, not during product failures, not even when the CEO publicly questioned her strategy in an all-hands meeting. She just adjusted her glasses, smiled slightly, and dismantled his argument in 4 sentences. I admired her. That's what I told myself for a long time. I admired her the way you admire a painting in a museum, from a safe distance behind a velvet rope, with no intention of ever touching it. But somewhere along the way, admiration became something else. Something I didn't have a name for, or maybe didn't want to name. I noticed things I shouldn't have noticed. The way she tucked her hair behind her ear when she was deep in thought. The way her voice dropped half a register when she was genuinely interested in an idea. The way she always held her coffee cup with both hands, like she was warming herself even in the middle of summer. These were small, meaningless details, but I collected them like evidence of something I refused to put on trial. I never said a word about it. Not to her. Not to anyone. Except Ryan. Ryan Miller had been my best friend since college. He was everything I wasn't: loud, reckless, and completely allergic to overthinking. He worked in sales at some company downtown, and his entire philosophy of life could be summed up in one sentence: just do the thing and figure it out later. He'd been married, divorced, married again, and was somehow still the happiest person I knew. Every Thursday night we texted back and forth while he watched basketball, and I pretended to read. It was our ritual. And somewhere in the last year, those Thursday conversations had turned into my unofficial therapy sessions about Olivia. That afternoon, a Tuesday, not even a Thursday, Ryan sent me a message out of nowhere. Dude, 3 years. You've been staring at this woman for 3 years. Just tell her. I typed back that it was complicated, that she was my boss, that the power dynamic made it inappropriate, that I had too much to lose. Ryan's response was immediate and predictable. He said, "Man, you overthink everything. If you want her, just say it. 3 words. I want you. Done." I stared at those 3 words on my screen. I want you. They looked so simple, so clean, so impossibly direct. I typed them out just to feel what it was like to say something honest for once. My thumb hovered over the send button. I was smiling the way you smile when you're playing with fire from what you think is a safe distance. I was going to send it to Ryan as a joke proof that I could at least type the words, even if I'd never say them out loud. But I didn't send it to Ryan. The interface on our company messaging app looked almost identical to my personal texts. Same layout, same green. Send button, same tiny profile pictures that all blurred together if you weren't paying attention. And I wasn't paying attention. I was too busy feeling clever, too busy enjoying the harmless thrill of pretending to be brave. My thumb hit send, and the name at the top of the chat wasn't Ryan Miller. It was Olivia Carter. For exactly 2 seconds, my brain refused to process what had happened. I stared at the screen the way you stare at a car accident, with that surreal slow-motion clarity where everything is sharp and nothing makes sense. Then the word appeared beneath my message. Seen. Not delivered. Not pending. Seen. She had read it. Olivia Carter, my boss, the woman I had spent 3 years carefully hiding my feelings from, had just read a message from me that said, "I want you." And there was no version of this that ended well. I reached for my phone to delete the message, but our company app didn't have that feature. Of course it didn't. I thought about sending a follow-up "sorry, wrong person," but that would only make it worse. It would confirm that the words were real, just aimed at someone else, which somehow felt even more humiliating. I thought about standing up, walking out of the building, and never coming back. I thought about faking a medical emergency. I thought about every possible escape route my panicking brain could manufacture in the span of 30 seconds. Then I heard the heels. It's a specific sound, the click of Olivia Carter's shoes on the polished concrete floor of our office. Steady, measured, never rushed. I had memorized that rhythm the way sailors memorize tides, unconsciously, instinctively, as a matter of survival. And right now, that rhythm was getting closer. It stopped directly behind my chair. I could smell her perfume, something clean and faintly warm, like cedar and white tea. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. She stepped beside my desk and tapped her knuckle once on the surface. Not hard, not aggressive, just once, the way you'd knock on a door you already know is open. "Ethan," she said, and her voice was completely neutral, completely unreadable. "My office." I stood up on legs that didn't feel like mine. The walk from my desk to her office was maybe 40 feet, but it stretched out like a hallway in a nightmare. I could feel every pair of eyes on the floor tracking me. Nobody knew what had happened, but everyone knew that being summoned to Olivia's office in the middle of the afternoon was never casual. I kept my gaze straight ahead. My hands were shaking, so I shoved them into my pockets. By the time I reached her door, I had already mentally drafted my resignation letter. Her office was all glass and clean lines. A standing desk, 2 monitors, a single plant on the windowsill that somehow always looked perfect. She closed the door behind us and walked past me to her desk. I stood near the door like a defendant waiting for sentencing. My mouth was dry. My heartbeat was so loud I was sure she could hear it. I expected anger. I expected the cold, surgical disappointment she used on underperforming project leads. I expected her to hand me an HR form and tell me to have my desk cleared by end of day. I had already accepted it. I had already started grieving the job, the routine, the carefully constructed life I had built around being invisible. It was over. All because of 3 stupid words and 1 moment of carelessness. But Olivia didn't look angry. She didn't look disappointed. She stood behind her desk and studied me with an expression I had never seen on her face, before something between curiosity and something softer, something I couldn't quite name. The silence lasted long enough for me to